My name is Nick Callahan, and I used to think I knew my wife. Sitting here at 3 in the morning, listening to Jenna's phone buzz like an angry hornet on our nightstand, I'm starting to wonder if I ever knew her at all. Either our marriage is alive, or someone else is. The rain hammers our old Victorian's windows with the persistence of a debt collector. This house has been creaking and settling for 90 years, and tonight it sounds like it's finally giving up. Much like everything else in my life, I reach over Jenna's sleeping form. She's got that fake, peaceful look she wears when she's pretending to be asleep, and grab her phone. The screen lights up with a text from L. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. He thinks he's so clever, he'd never see you coming. My stomach drops like I've been sucker punched. 20 years of marriage, and this is how I find out. Not through some dramatic confrontation or tearful confession, but through a glowing rectangle at 3 a.m., while Mrs. Delaney's porch light flickers across the street like a lighthouse warning of rocks ahead. I scroll up. There are dozens of messages, weeks of them. The way you looked at me during the presentation had me thinking dirty thoughts all afternoon. Nick's working late again. Your place or mine? I love how you moan my name. So much better than when you fake it with him. That last one hits like a sledgehammer to the chest. I've been building houses with these hands for 23 years, and I've never felt anything crumble as fast as my marriage just did. Liam. It has to be Liam Richardson, her boss at Richardson & Associates Architecture. Tall, silver-haired, drives a BMW that costs more than I make in 6 months. The kind of guy who wears Italian suits to construction sites and calls everyone champ, like he's doing them a favor by breathing the same air. I set the phone down carefully, my hands shaking just enough to make me angry at myself. Jenna shifts beside me, and for a second I think about waking her up, demanding answers. But something cold and calculating settles in my chest instead, something that whispers, not yet. The house groans around us, and I slip out of bed, padding downstairs in my boxers and an old Patriots t-shirt. The kitchen still smells like the salmon Jenna cooked for dinner, one of those fancy recipes she's been trying lately. Now I know who she was really cooking for. I pour myself 3 fingers of bourbon and sit at our scratched kitchen table. Through the window I can see Mrs. Delaney's house. The old woman never sleeps, and her living room light is always on, casting shadows that dance across our driveway. She sees everything in this neighborhood. Everything. The bourbon burns, but it's a clean burn. Honest. Unlike everything else in my life right now. I think about the signs I missed. Jenna's sudden interest in working late. The new lingerie that never made an appearance in our bedroom. The way she started showering immediately when she got home, like she was washing someone else off her skin. The girls' nights that became more frequent than our date nights. My phone sits on the counter, and I consider calling my brother Mike in Boston. But what would I say? Hey, my wife's cheating on me with her pretentious boss, and I found out by reading her texts like some paranoid stalker? Instead, I finish my bourbon and head back upstairs. Jenna hasn't moved. Her phone is exactly where I left it, still buzzing occasionally with late-night messages from her lover. I lie there until dawn, staring at the ceiling, listening to my wife breathe beside me while she dreams of another man. By the time the sun comes up, I've made a decision. I'm not going to be the cuckolded husband who falls apart. I'm not going to beg or plead or make a scene. I'm going to be smart about this. When Jenna's alarm goes off at 7, she stretches and yawns like she's had the most peaceful sleep of her life. "Morning, honey," she says, kissing my cheek with lips that have been whispering another man's name in her dreams. "Morning," I reply, and my voice sounds normal. Steady. "Sleep well?" Like a baby. She slides out of bed, and I watch her move around our bedroom like nothing's changed, like she isn't destroying everything we built together, one text message at a time. She heads for the shower, and I hear the water start running. I pick up her phone again. There's a new message from L. "Lunch at the usual place? I need to taste you again. The usual place. I know exactly where that is. The Seaside Motor Lodge sits on Route 1 like a relic from a better time, when adultery required more effort than a smartphone app. It's the kind of place where truckers catch a few hours of sleep and cheating spouses conduct their sordid business. The neon sign flickers vacancy in pink letters, and half the parking lot is cracked asphalt held together by weeds and wishful thinking. I'm sitting in my pickup truck across the street, engine running, watching Jenna's silver Lexus in the lot. She's been inside room 12 for 47 minutes. Liam's BMW is parked right next to her car, because apparently discretion isn't their strong suit. My hands grip the steering wheel so tight my knuckles have gone white. In the passenger seat sits a tire iron, not because I'm planning to use it, but because holding it makes me feel less powerless. Less like the fool who spent 20 years building a life with a woman who was always looking for the exit. The rain has started again, turning the world gray and blurry. Perfect weather for what I'm about to do. At exactly 2:30, the door to room 12 opens. Liam steps out first, adjusting his tie like he's just finished a business meeting instead of screwing another man's wife. He's got that satisfied smirk that rich guys wear when they think they're getting away with something. Jenna emerges a minute later, smoothing down her skirt and checking her reflection in the window. She looks radiant, happy, more alive than she's looked at home in months. They kiss goodbye. Not a passionate kiss, but something casual and comfortable. Like they've done this 100 times before. That's when I make my move. I grab the tire iron and step out of my truck. The rain hits my face like tiny cold needles, but I barely feel it. All my focus is on Liam, who's walking toward his precious BMW with his head down, checking his phone. He doesn't see me coming until I'm 3 feet away. "Liam Richardson," I say, and my voice carries across the parking lot like thunder. He looks up, and his face goes through about 5 different emotions in 2 seconds. Surprise, recognition, fear, calculation, and finally, arrogance. "Nick," he says like we're old friends running into each other at the grocery store. "What brings you to this part of town?" "Funny thing about marriage," I say, raising the tire iron. "You think you know someone, and then you find out they've been lying to your face for months." His eyes flick to the tire iron, then to Jenna, who's frozen by the motel room door like a deer in headlights. "Now let's all stay calm here," Liam says, holding up his hands. "We're all adults. We can discuss this rationally." "Rationally?" I laugh, and it sounds harsh even to my own ears. "You've been screwing my wife in cheap motel rooms and you want to discuss it rationally?" I swing the tire iron down hard on his windshield. The safety glass spiderwebs with a satisfying crack that echoes across the parking lot. Liam jumps back like I've taken a shot at him. "Jesus Christ, Nick, that's a $60,000 car." "And she's a 20-year marriage," I snarl, bringing the tire iron down again. This time the windshield caves in completely, glass fragments scattering across the hood like diamonds. "Stop!" Jenna finally finds her voice. "Nick, stop this right now!" I turn to look at her, really look at her, and I see a stranger. This woman who shared my bed, my dreams, my life, is looking at me like I'm the villain in this story. "Stop?" I repeat. "I should stop?" "How long, Jenna? How long have you been making a fool of me?" She doesn't answer. She doesn't have to. The guilt is written all over her face. I pull out a piece of paper I prepared this morning and stick it under Liam's windshield wiper. It's a simple note. "Next time, try a motel that isn't visible from the highway. A concerned citizen." This isn't over, I tell them both. And I mean it. Not even close. I walk back to my truck, leaving them standing in the rain beside Liam's destroyed BMW. As I drive away, I can see them in my rearview mirror, Jenna gesturing frantically, Liam on his phone, probably calling his insurance company. But I'm already thinking 3 moves ahead, because this isn't just about catching them anymore. This is about making them pay for every lie, every betrayal, every moment they made me feel like I wasn't enough. When I get home, Mrs. Delaney is watering her plants on her front porch despite the rain. She waves at me with a knowing smile that makes my blood run cold. In a town this small, secrets don't stay secret for long, and sometimes that works in your favor. By Thursday morning, the whole town knows. Not the details, not yet, but enough. Mrs. Delaney's network of gossips works faster than the internet, and by the time I walk into Murphy's diner for my usual coffee and eggs, the conversations stop just a beat too long when I pass each table. "Morning, Nick," says Rita behind the counter, but her eyes are full of pity. I hate pity more than I hate betrayal. "Morning, Rita." The usual. I take my booth in the back corner, the one where I can see the whole diner and both exits. Old habits from my army days, before I came home and built a life that just got blown to pieces in a motel parking lot. My phone buzzes. Text from Jenna. "We need to talk." I delete it without responding. Another buzz. This time it's from Danny Kowalski, my oldest friend, and the guy who introduced me to Jenna at a 4th of July barbecue 22 years ago. "Heard about what happened. You okay? Danny runs the auto shop 2 blocks from here. Good guy, solid family man, the kind of friend who'll help you move a body and never ask questions. Or so I thought. I text back, "Been better. Thanks for checking in. Want to grab a beer tonight? Talk it through?" "Sure. Murphy's at 7. Rita brings my coffee and eggs, extra toast without me asking. "On the house today, honey," she says, patting my shoulder like I'm a terminal patient. I eat in silence, watching the town wake up through the rain-streaked windows. This place has been my home for 42 years. I know every street, every family, every scandal that's ever rocked our little corner of New England. Now I'm the scandal. My phone rings, Jenna's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, then play it back. "Nick, please. We need to talk about this like adults. What you did yesterday it was assault. Liam could press charges. Please, just call me back. Assault." Right. I destroyed some rich boy's windshield and suddenly I'm the criminal. I finish my breakfast and drive to the construction site where my crew is framing a new house for the Hendersons. Good people, been saving for years to build their dream home. The kind of honest work that used to make me feel proud. My foreman, Tommy Ricci, is waiting by my truck when I pull up. "Boss," he says, and I can tell from his tone that this isn't going to be good news. "What is it, Tommy?" "Got a call this morning. Henderson wants to meet with you. Says there are some concerns about the project." Concerns. In contractor speak, that means they're thinking about firing me. News travels fast in a small town, and nobody wants their dream house built by the guy who's having a public meltdown over his cheating wife. When? 10 o'clock. His office. I check my watch. It's 9:15. All right. Keep the crew working. I'll handle this. But as I drive toward Henderson's insurance office, I know I'm not going to handle anything. I'm watching my life fall apart in real time, and there's not a damn thing I can do to stop it. Henderson is waiting for me with his lawyer, which tells me everything I need to know before we even shake hands. "Nick," Henderson says, but he won't meet my eyes. "Thanks for coming in." "Let me guess," I say, settling into the chair across from his desk. "You want to terminate our contract." The lawyer clears his throat. "Mr. Callahan, my client has some concerns about your recent behavior. The incident at the motel has raised questions about your stability and professionalism." "The incident at the motel," I repeat slowly. "You mean when I caught my wife cheating on me?" "We understand this is a difficult time," Henderson says. "But we have to think about our investment. Our family's future, their investment, their future. What about mine?" "I've been building houses in this town for 23 years, I tell them. Never missed a deadline, never had a safety violation, never left a job unfinished. But my wife screws her boss, and suddenly I'm unreliable." "It's not personal, Nick," Henderson says, but we all know that's a lie. Everything is personal in a town this small. I stand up. "You'll have your deposit back by Friday." Good luck finding another contractor who gives a damn about your project. I walk out before they can respond, because there's nothing left to say. In the parking lot, I sit in my truck and watch the rain turn everything gray and ugly. My phone buzzes. Text from Danny. Can we move tonight up to lunch? Something's come up. Something's come up. Right. I drive to Murphy's early and claim our usual table. Danny shows up 20 minutes later with Mike Brennan and Steve Walsh, three of my closest friends for the past 15 years. The guys I've shared beers with, watched games with, stood up for at their weddings. They sit down like they're attending a funeral. Nick, Danny starts, we've been talking. About what? About what happened at the motel. About the talk around town. I lean back in my chair. And? Mike clears his throat. Look, we get it. What Jenna did was wrong. But the way you handled it? That's not you, man. How would you know what's me? I ask. You guys have been hanging around my wife and her friends for months. Did any of you know she was cheating? The silence stretches long enough to answer my question. We suspected, Steve finally admits. But it wasn't our place to say anything. It wasn't your place. I taste those words, and they're bitter. So you all knew my wife was making a fool of me, and you decided to keep your mouths shut. We didn't know for sure, Danny says. And we didn't want to cause problems if we were wrong. Problems? I laugh, but there's no humor in it. What kind of problems? The kind where I find out my friends are as fake as my marriage? That's not fair, Mike says. We're here because we care about you. No, you're here because I'm embarrassing you. Because being friends with the crazy guy who smashed up his wife's boyfriend's car is bad for your reputations. I stand up, throwing a 20 on the table. Don't worry about it, guys. I'll make this easy for you. Nick, wait, Danny calls after me, but I'm already walking away. In the parking lot, I realize I'm completely alone for the first time in 20 years. No wife, no friends, no work. Just me and the rain and the growing certainty that if they want to see crazy, I'll show them what crazy really looks like. Eli Garrison's gym sits in the basement of an old textile mill, down a flight of concrete stairs that smell like sweat and determination. I haven't been here in 5 years, not since I decided I was too old and too married to keep pretending I was still the guy who could throw a punch. Turns out, that guy was just sleeping. The heavy bag hangs in the same corner, wrapped in duct tape and decades of abuse. Eli himself looks exactly the same. 60-something, built like a fire hydrant, with hands that could crack walnuts and eyes that have seen every kind of human weakness. Well, look what the cat dragged in, he says when I walk through the door. Nick Callahan, thought you'd gone soft. Maybe I did, I admit, dropping my gym bag on the floor. Maybe it's time to remember how to be hard. Eli studies me for a long moment. Heard about your troubles. Small town, big mouths. What did you hear? That your wife's been stepping out, that you made a scene, that your friends are keeping their distance. He shrugs. Same old story, different players. I wrap my hands in silence, muscle memory taking over. The ritual is soothing. Wind the tape between the fingers, around the wrist, tight but not too tight. You want some advice? Eli asks. Do I have a choice? Don't fight in the open. That's what amateurs do. They get mad, they swing wild, they end up on their ass wondering what happened. He points to the heavy bag. Smart fighters, they wait. They watch. They make their opponents beat themselves. I throw my first punch in 5 years, and it feels like coming home. For the next 2 hours, I work the bag until my shoulders burn, and my knuckles are raw, even through the wraps. Eli watches, offering corrections, pushing me harder when I start to slack off. You're angry, he observes. Good. Anger's fuel, but don't let it drive. You drive, anger rides shotgun. When I'm done, I'm soaked in sweat and breathing hard, but my head is clearer than it's been in days. What are you really planning, Nick? Eli asks as I unwrap my hands. I'm planning to make them pay. How? However I have to. He nods slowly. Just remember, the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting ahead. I drive home to find Jenna's car in the driveway. She's sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of papers and her laptop, looking like she's conducting a business meeting in our house. We need to talk, she says without looking up. Now you want to talk? I've been trying to reach you for 3 days. I've been busy. She finally looks at me, and I see something I've never seen before in her eyes. Fear. Not of me exactly, but of what I might do next. Nick, what happened at the motel was... It was wrong. The way you reacted was wrong. The way I reacted? I sit down across from her. My wife of 20 years is screwing her boss in a cheap motel, and my reaction is the problem. You destroyed his car. I destroyed his windshield. There's a difference. She runs her hands through her hair, a gesture I used to find endearing. Now it just looks calculated. Liam could press charges. Let him. I'll tell the whole town about his affair with a married employee. See how that works out for his reputation. This isn't you, Nick. This anger, this vindictiveness. It's not the man I married. Maybe the man you married was an idiot, I say. Maybe he was too trusting, too comfortable, too willing to believe his wife when she said she was working late or having girls' nights or any of the other lies you've been feeding him. They weren't all lies. Which ones were true? She doesn't answer. How long? I ask. How long have you been cheating on me? 6 months, she whispers. 6 months. I let that sink in. Our anniversary dinner. When you seemed so happy, so loving. You were already screwing him. Yes. The weekend we went to your sister's wedding. When you disappeared for 2 hours and said you were helping with decorations. Yes. The night I had food poisoning and you said you had to work late to cover for a sick colleague. Yes. Each admission is like a small knife between the ribs. But I keep my voice steady, my expression neutral. Why? I ask. Because you stopped seeing me, she says. You stopped trying. We became roommates instead of lovers. So you decided to find a lover somewhere else. I decided to find someone who made me feel alive again. And Liam makes you feel alive. Yes. I nod slowly. Okay. Okay. I understand. You fell out of love with me and into love with him. It happens. She looks suspicious. You're taking this very calmly. What's the alternative? Screaming, crying, begging you to come back? I stand up. You've made your choice, Jenna. Now I get to make mine. What does that mean? It means you should probably find somewhere else to stay tonight, and tomorrow night, and every night after that. Nick, we need to figure out the logistics. The house, the finances, the divorce. We will. But not tonight. Tonight, I need you gone. She starts to argue, then thinks better of it. She packs a bag while I sit on the couch, planning my next move. When she's ready to leave, she stops at the door. I never wanted to hurt you, she says. But you did anyway. Yes. Then we're done talking. After she leaves, I open my laptop and start researching. Liam Richardson, it turns out, has a very interesting background. Divorced twice, sued by a former employee for intimate harassment, and currently under investigation by the state licensing board for some questionable billing practices. By midnight, I have a plan. It's not nice, it's not fair, and it's definitely not legal in the traditional sense. But it's going to be very, very satisfying. The Richardson and Associates annual gala is held every October at the Ocean View Country Club, where the city's elite gather to pretend they care about affordable housing while sipping $100 wine. I've attended exactly 3 of these events in 20 years of marriage, and I've hated every minute of each one. Tonight will be different. I rent a tuxedo from the same place I got married in, back when I thought Jenna and I would grow old together. The irony isn't lost on me as I adjust the bow tie in the mirror of our empty bedroom. The country club's parking lot is full of luxury cars that cost more than most people's houses. I park my pickup truck right between a Mercedes and a Tesla because subtlety was never my strong suit. Inside, the ballroom is decorated with white flowers and soft lighting that makes everyone look younger and more innocent than they actually are. I spot Jenna immediately. She's wearing a red dress I've never seen before, standing close to Liam near the bar. They look happy, comfortable, like a couple who belongs together. That's about to change. I grab a whiskey from the bar and make my way through the crowd, nodding to people I recognize from previous years. Most of them are surprised to see me here, especially without Jenna on my arm. Nick! It's Patricia Whitmore, the mayor's wife, and she's already 3 drinks in. What a surprise! Where's Jenna? She's around somewhere, I say, gesturing vaguely toward the crowd. You know how these things are. Patricia follows my gesture and spots Jenna with Liam. Her eyes widen slightly. Oh, she says. I see. Do you? I ask, and there's something in my tone that makes her take a step back. I work the room for an hour, planting seeds, making observations, letting people draw their own conclusions. By the time dinner is served, half the room is whispering about Jenna and Liam's obvious intimacy. During the main course, Liam stands to give his annual speech about the firm's achievements and community involvement. He's polished, confident, every inch the successful businessman. This year has been particularly rewarding, he says, his voice carrying easily across the room. We've grown our team, expanded our services, and deepened our relationships with valued clients. Deepened relationships. I almost laugh out loud. Of course, none of this would be possible without the dedication of our employees, who go above and beyond every day to serve our clients' needs. Above and beyond. That's one way to put it. When he finishes, there's polite applause. I stand up. Excuse me, I call out, loud enough for the whole room to hear. I'd like to say something. The room goes quiet. Jenna's face goes white. Liam's confident smile falters. I'm Nick Callahan, I continue, walking toward the front of the room. Some of you know me. I'm a contractor here in town. I build things, houses mostly, things that are meant to last. I can feel the tension building like pressure in a boiler. I've been married for 20 years to one of Mr. Richardson's employees, Jenna Callahan. Maybe you know her. She's the one in the red dress who's been holding hands with her boss all evening. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Jenna starts to stand, but Liam puts a hand on her arm, keeping her seated. Now, I'm not here to make a scene, I continue, and my voice is calm, conversational. I'm just here to clear up some confusion. See, some people might think it's inappropriate for a boss to sleep with a married employee. Some people might think that creates a hostile work environment or opens the company up to liability issues. That's enough, Liam says, standing up. Security. But I think it's beautiful, I continue, ignoring him. True love conquers all, right? Even when it destroys families and ruins lives and makes a mockery of everything decent people believe in. 2 security guards are moving toward me, but I'm not done yet. So here's to Liam Richardson and Jenna Callahan. I raise my whiskey glass. May they find the happiness they deserve. I drain the glass and set it on the nearest table. Then I walk out, leaving behind a room full of shocked faces and whispered conversations that will fuel this town's gossip mill for months. In the parking lot, I'm unlocking my truck when I hear footsteps behind me. You bastard! I turn around to find Liam striding toward me, his face red with rage and embarrassment. He's shed his jacket, and his bow tie is hanging loose around his neck. That was my reputation you just destroyed in there, he snarls. Your reputation destroyed itself when you started screwing married employees. He swings at me, a wild, angry punch that telegraphs itself from a mile away. I step aside and let his momentum carry him past me, then grab his arm and twist it behind his back, slamming him face first into the side of my truck. Here's the thing about reputations, Liam, I say, applying just enough pressure to make him wince. They're like trust. Easy to lose, hard to get back. Let me go. In a minute. First, I want you to understand something. You didn't just steal my wife. You stole 20 years of my life. You made me look like a fool in front of my friends, my neighbors, my clients. I increased the pressure slightly. So now I'm going to return the favor. I release him and step back. He turns around, rubbing his shoulder, his perfect hair mussed and his dignity in tatters. This isn't over, he says. You're right, I agree. It's not. I get in my truck and drive away, leaving him standing in the parking lot like the small, pathetic man he really is. At home, I pour myself another whiskey and sit on my front porch, watching Mrs. Delaney's light flicker across the street. My phone starts buzzing with calls and texts, some supportive, some critical, all wanting to know what happens next. I don't answer any of them, because what happens next isn't up to them, it's up to me. And I'm just getting started. 3 days later, the story hits the local newspaper. Prominent architect under investigation for ethics violations. It seems someone sent the state licensing board a detailed complaint about Liam's relationship with a subordinate, complete with photos from the gala and documentation of their affair. The same day, Jenna gets fired from Richardson and Associates. Liam claims it's for performance issues, but everyone knows the truth. By the end of the week, 2 more women have come forward with their own stories about Liam's inappropriate behavior. His wife files for divorce, and the country club revokes his membership. I don't gloat. I don't celebrate. I just watch it all unfold from my front porch, sipping whiskey and planning my next move. Because this is just the beginning. They wanted to see what happens when you push a patient man too far. Now they're going to find out.